talk I gave a while ago, but listening back to it, I realised it's a really important part of my story, so I wanted to share it here. Here I talk about losing my husband and how travel allowed me to find a way back to myself again. It's actually a lot more than a talk. It's a really important part of my story, and that's why I wanted to share it. And the resources I talk about are available via the links below. So I hope you enjoy it, and if you do, let me know your thoughts in the comments. My name's Sue Ross from Sue Where Why What, and I'm here today to share my talk of heartbreak to healing, how travel helped me rebuild after loss. Thank you so much for inviting me to share my story with you at the Travel Coach Summit, and I hope you will be able to take something from this about how transformational travel can be from somebody who has been there, done it, and actually lived it. So just to set the scene, I was with my husband Terry for 18 wonderful years. We got married back in 2001. Very, very happy. He was my husband, but he was also my best friend, my biggest cheerleader, and my ever faithful traveling companion. Terry and I maxed out every free day of annual leave we could have. We were both passionate about travel, and we did a lot of it. We made the most of every day and enjoyed every minute of our time together. Life was really good. I was really content. And then back in 2014, my life turned totally on its head. Terry went in for heart surgery, and unfortunately he never made it back. I really hope you've never experienced this sort of thing, but for me, my life that I knew and everything I thought I had in my future just had disappeared, just like that. I felt a huge amount of loss, understandably, but I also felt completely lost. I was used to knowing what was happening in my life, what my future held, and all of a sudden I knew nothing. And I didn't even know who I was anymore. I had really lost myself. When you're in a couple for 18 years, that kind of becomes your identity. And then I was back on my own in my mid-40s, and I really didn't know who I was anymore. I chose a path where I decided to change everything. The life that I had before with Terry had been so entwined. Our work, our leisure time, our travels, everything at every corner reminded me of him. When I was at home, and home is usually your sanctuary, I felt the silence screaming at me from every corner. And as a traveller, I chose to choose the path of travel to help me to just deal with it. Initially, I got invites from friends and family to join them on their travels, which was amazing. It meant I was only home dealing with everything at like a month or 6 week blocks at a time before I would then go off with them. And that really helped me to get through that first year. But it was towards the end of that year when I joined my family for a week in Hawaii, in Oahu. And then a friend was coming to meet me, and we were going to go be touring the Big Island. And I decided to have a week on my own in Kauai. I travelled solo before I met Terry, so it wasn't a unfamiliar path for me, but it was a completely different road I was walking. And being out there on my own in the world was absolutely terrifying. But there was something in me that I felt I had to do. I felt that if I carried on following other people's holidays and taking holidays with other people, I would be following their dreams. And I didn't really feel like I would get the nub to finding out who I was now I was back on my own again in my 40s. So having made the decision to travel on my own, I spent a week doing all of the things that I wanted to do. I ate where I wanted to eat. I went for a drink in the bar that I liked the look of. I went hiking up to a waterfall, helicopter, which was amazing, to the waterfalls and to see the rainbows, and it was beautiful. It felt very empty, and I was terrified, but I also started to feel and see glimpses of the person I was now, the person I had been back in my 20s when I travelled alone before, but also the person that I could be if I opened up my world to travel. So I continued on this path. I started to write a list of places I wanted to go and things I wanted to do, so that it was my journey of what I wanted, not relying on other people and what they wanted. And in following that roadmap that I gave myself for the next 5 or 10 years, I went on a lot of adventures, but travel also gave me the time to breathe, to grieve, to heal, and finally to find out who I was and to find my way back to myself again. There's something about being in new places that sparks new thoughts, new questions, new depths that you can delve into within yourself. Meeting new people, I felt I could spend time with strangers and be a different person. The strangers didn't know my history. They didn't know what had happened. I didn't have to worry about upsetting them. I could just share what I wanted to share in any moment. I learned through the people that I ended up interacting with how sharing my story could actually be a powerful way to connect with people, rather than worrying that what I had to say was going to in some way upset them. And that was huge for me, a huge step forward in terms of healing. And like I say, I really began through each interaction, through each new space, through each new place, through each new experience and activity, I started to piece myself back together again. I wasn't the same person I was back in my middle 20s, but who is? Life experience and life itself has a way of throwing you all sorts of curveballs, and it's how you catch them and what you do with them that really shapes your future. The thing is with solo travel, and particularly when you're using travel to get through grief, it's not easy. It's never easy. And if anyone tells you that solo travel is easy, I would certainly like to know how. It's lonely, it's hard, but traveling alone gave me such a huge sense of freedom, self-belief, self-reliance, self-confidence, in a way that I don't know anything else that can create that in the time that solo travel can. And I wanted to share a story with you, because the thing about traveling solo, you can go through all of those things in the course of an hour. So there was one day where I was in Ecuador on my own. I'd been walking for 3 days, or it was my third day, on a well-known trail in Ecuador called the Quilotoa Loop. And it's a 3-day walk, staying in hostels each night as you go. I had spent the first 2 days hooking up with other people who were walking the trail. And then on day 3, I just felt it was time to do it on my own, which is what I really had come for. And it was scary. It's not the best marked track. There were times when it took 9 of us to work out which way we were supposed to be going. And on the 3rd day, I was on my own. And there was a moment where I was literally standing at a crossroads, and I had no clue which direction I was going to go in. And then from nowhere, a guy arrived. We got chatting. He was Cuban, so spoke the language. Went and asked a couple of farmers which direction we were supposed to be going. They pointed us in the right way, and the two of us spent the next 40 minutes getting lost together and finally getting found again, found our way back to the trail, and started to climb up to the end of this track, which was the beautiful Lake Quilotoa at the end. But as we were climbing, he was struggling. The altitude can be quite a harsh leveler, and he told me to go on ahead. And so I carried on my own and made it to the lake, which was beautiful, made it around the lake, made it onto the bus and carried on my journey. But that moment has really stuck in my head because it was one of those moments where everything hits you all at once within a matter of hours, which is a classic thing for solo travel. It was the fear of being on my own and being lost. It was the universe providing the answers in this guy that I met. It's the getting found again and finding that confusion with other people who can help you. And it's the triumph, once I got to the end, of actually having completed that walk and completing it on my own. I felt like I was absolutely on top of the world. But another message that I'd like to give to you today is that it's never too late. Midlife is a fantastic time to begin again. I was in my mid-40s when I lost Terry, and I'm now in my mid-50s, having spent 10 years traveling alone, finding my strength and my power, and finding out who I think I was supposed to be. And I want to make it clear that midlife isn't the end. It's the perfect time to begin again. You've taken a lot of knocks, you've achieved a lot, no matter what your life has looked like. And it's the time to take all that wisdom and knowledge that you have and go and give it as a gift to the rest of the world. I think that's a strong message from my story, is that I don't know what I'd have done if I hadn't had my passion for travel to fall back on. I thank each and every one of the strangers that I met. Probably many of them don't even remember meeting me, but they had a huge impact on me and my story. Travel has allowed me to find a life and create a life again. And I believe it can do that for anybody. My main advice for anyone who is starting and wants to dive in or just take that little first tiny step into their next adventure is just start small. If going to a restaurant on your own sounds like climbing a mountain to you, then try that, do that, go somewhere familiar. Go somewhere that speaks your language or that you understand the culture. Why not take a group tour where you can join newfound friends to experience things that you've always wanted to do, but you may not want to do alone? Go to a location which is renowned and well known for solo travel, of which I can certainly give you a whole list of places that I've felt the most comfortable and the most safe. Also, start journaling along the way. I created my blog, Sue, Where, Why, What, because I wanted to share my journey. I felt I was probably not the only woman who's on her own in midlife for whatever reason. And I had a little bit of confidence from the travel alone I'd done before, and I felt that it was something I wanted to share. And that for me is like my journal now of my story. But journaling has been such a valuable part of my transformation and of my travels. I created a list of journal prompts which you will be able to have access to as a result of listening to this. So please go onto the Travel Coach website and pick that up. And it's a number of prompts that you can use, setting your intention before you start within your journey to help prompt your thought process of what you're feeling, what you're learning, how you're progressing, how you're transforming along the way. But what I would say is the key thing is to do something. So why not think about what can you do today, whether it's downloading those prompts, The fact that you're here today at the Travel Coach Summit means that you want to take that step. It might be that first step, it might be just be that next step, but take that step, do something, think about a trip, book a trip, start planning a trip, or like I say, just go to that restaurant down the road that you've never been to on your own and you've never had the courage to. Just do something, because movement creates momentum. And once you've done something, you've taught yourself something, you've seen what you're capable of, and then start doing the next thing. One step at a time really does create lasting change. So where am I now? My life has moved on. I rebuilt myself. I found my joy. I've now remarried and have a whole other different set of adventures in front of me. But I am super grateful for the 10 years I spent rebuilding myself, the adventures that I had, the reliance and self-belief that I developed, and the confidence that came from that. Travel literally helped me rebuild my life. Not just externally, but hugely internally. So now through my blog, through my YouTube channel, also Sue Where Why What, through my travel coaching activities, I now look to help women in midlife rediscover their joy and their confidence and their courage through travel as a transformative travel coach. So just to finish this off, if you are feeling lost like I was, then I 100% believe that travel can help you. And the fact that you're here means that you've taken that first step. And I challenge you, encourage you, invite you to take the next step too. Whatever life looks like, starting to take those movements and those steps and that motion towards putting your life together and finding yourself again is just around the corner. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak. I wish you all the luck in the world with your healing journey too.